All right, let's talk about something that's on pretty much everyone's mind these days: data. But we're going to look at it from a really interesting angle. We're going to see how vocational training can totally flip the script, turning the absolute headache of data compliance into a huge competitive edge.
Okay, I want you to get this number in your head. 4 billion euros. I mean, that's just a massive, massive figure. But what is it? What does it actually represent?
Well, that number, that's the total amount of GDPR fines that have been handed out since it all started. We're talking about the General Data Protection Regulation here. And look, this isn't just some small fine, a little slap on the wrist. It's a massive, flashing warning sign about the huge financial risk of getting data wrong. So this all boils down to one really critical question for any company out there, especially if you rely on skilled, hands-on workers. Are the people in your organization turning data into a valuable asset? Or, and this is the scary part, are they accidentally becoming a huge regulatory liability? Okay, so that sets the stage perfectly for our first section here, the high-stakes data dilemma. We're going to dig into how data, in today's world, is this double-edged sword. It's a massive opportunity on one side and a huge risk on the other. Think of it like two sides of a coin. On one side, you've got this incredible opportunity. Data is the fuel for innovation, right? It boosts productivity, and it's creating all these amazing new-collar jobs. These are skilled tech roles that, don't need a 4-year university degree. But flip that coin over, and you see the danger. You've got those gigantic fines we talked about, a serious skills gap, and even the threat of losing out on exports if you can't play the data game. And look, don't think for a second this is some far-off, futuristic problem. It's happening right now. The World Economic Forum is saying that 65% of companies are planning to dive into big data analytics by 2027. That's just around the corner. The data wave is here, and you really only have two choices: learn how to write it or get swept away. So the big question is, how do we get ready for this? Well, that's where the hero of our story comes in. Let's move into section 2 and talk about VET. That's Vocational Education and Training, and how it's the perfect data-ready solution. Before we go any further, let's just quickly break down this term, big data. Because it's not just about having a lot of data. It's really about these 5 Vs. The sheer volume, the crazy velocity it's coming at you, the variety of different kinds of data. Its veracity, like can you even trust it? And most importantly, the value you can get out of it. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. VET programs are perfectly positioned to tackle this. Why? Well, research from the OECD shows that countries with really strong vocational training systems are the ones seeing the biggest productivity gains. It's because their technicians are the people on the ground, the ones who can actually take raw sensor data and turn it into smart, real-time decisions. This is what opens the door to those awesome new collar jobs and, honestly, makes an entire country more competitive. All right, so we know why this is so important. But that's not enough, right? We need the how. How do we actually do this? So for section 3, we're going to lay out a really practical pathway for training the workforce of the future. The secret sauce here is a step-by-step approach, something that builds confidence and helps people get over any, math anxiety. You start small with foundational micromodules. Think basics like data types and understanding bias. From there, students get their hands dirty with guided lab work, using real data sets from IoT, Internet of Things devices. And finally, they tie it all together with reflective journals, linking what they found to actual business goals. We're talking KPIs for things like safety or energy efficiency. And you know what? The result is immediate. It's real. In these fast-growing fields like agritech and smart mobility, the trainees who have these data skills are walking into jobs with higher starting salaries. It's a straight line from the classroom to a better-paying career. Simple as that. But wait a minute. We can't forget a super important piece of the puzzle. Students can't learn this stuff if their teachers don't know how to teach it. So that brings us to section 4, and it's a big one, empowering the educators, because they're the real digital multipliers here. And when you invest in them, the results are, well, they're undeniable. Check this out. The data shows that VET centers that put in over 40 hours of data-specific training for their teachers saw a 27% jump in student completion rates for STEM subjects. That's huge. Investing in your trainers pays off directly in student success. So what does that kind of investment actually look like in practice? Well, it's a whole toolkit. You start by figuring out where your trainers are at right now.
using free tools from the EU like Selfie for Teachers to benchmark their digital skills. Then you offer them stackable micro-credentials in things like Python or data visualization. You also get them working together in peer mentoring groups. And you can even do cool stuff like using VR to turn old case studies into interactive simulations. Okay, so let's recap. We've got trained students and we've got empowered trainers. So what's the end result? What's the big payoff? Let's dive into our final section and look at how this unlocks real-world productivity and innovation.
I've got another number for you, 30%. According to McKinsey, that's how much of a boost in manufacturing output you could get from advanced analytics. 30%. But here's the kicker. 70% of factories right now just don't have the people with the skills to make it happen. A perfect example of this is something called predictive maintenance. It's actually a pretty simple idea. Instead of just waiting around for a piece of equipment to break down, you use all the data from its sensors and a little bit of AI to predict when it's going to fail. Then you fix it before it breaks, saving yourself from some incredibly expensive downtime. And the amount of money we're talking about here is just monumental. I mean, look at Siemens Energy. They used data from their turbines and created these digital twins to see how they were performing. The result? They saved an estimated, get this, 1.4 trillion euros in potential downtime. That's trillion with a T. That's what a data-ready workforce can do. And it's not just some one-off thing with Siemens. Coca-Cola did this and cut their service costs by 23%. And check this out. On the factory floor, just training technicians how to properly label sensor data improved the accuracy of their predictive models by 11%. These aren't vague ideas. They are real, measurable results. You know, here's a simple way to think about it. Imagine all of a company's data is like a giant lake, a huge reservoir of water. On its own, it's just raw, untreated water, not that useful. The vocational training we've been talking about, that's the treatment plant. It's the process that takes that raw data and purifies it, turning it into a clean, pure, and incredibly valuable resource that the whole company can use. So we're kind of back where we started, but now, hopefully, with a whole new way of looking at things. The data-driven future isn't some dot on the horizon. It's here, right now. It's happening all around us. And that leaves just one final question for you to think about. Is your curriculum, and by extension, your workforce, going to be ready for it?